Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into something that's been making a lot of noise lately. The future of ChatGPT and the possible impacts it's going to have on society and the economy. We've got some really interesting research, financial reports, even a look at some AI models you might not know about. You ready to jump in?
Yeah, definitely. This topic has a lot to unpack. Like, to really get the potential impacts, we first got to understand where things are right now.
Right. Okay. Let's do that. So I've been seeing these kind of scary headlines, about OpenAI, the company that makes ChatGPT. They're facing these huge financial losses, even though, everybody's using it. Is this a bad sign, do you think?
It's definitely something to keep an eye on, yeah. The reports say OpenAI lost a crazy amount this past year, like $5 billion, even with tons of investments. It's kind of strange, right? A super popular product losing that much money.
It just makes you think about what they're planning. I mean, I use ChatGPT almost every day. I can't even imagine going back to doing things the old way.
That's exactly it. A lot of startups, especially in tech, they use this strategy. They focus on getting tons of users really fast, even if they're not making money right away. They offer super low prices, even free stuff, just to get you hooked. Think about companies like Tokopedia, Instagram, Gojek. They all did that. Started with amazing deals to get people using their product.
So are you saying that OpenAI is maybe thinking long-term? Like they're willing to lose money now to, basically take over the market later?
It could be. It makes sense in a way. By getting millions of people using their free platform, OpenAI has made itself the AI tool, for any businesses. And that gives them power when they decide to change how they make money.
And what would that look like? I mean, you can't run a company on $5 billion losses forever.
Exactly. What people are predicting is that free access is going to go away. We're probably going to see limits on how much you can use for free. Maybe they'll take away some features and push people to pay more and more for subscriptions.
Ugh, that's kind of worrying. Doesn't that mean, only the people who can afford it will get to use these powerful AI tools?
It is a valid concern. And it could really impact society and the economy. If only rich people and corporations can afford the best AI tools, it could make the gap between the rich and the poor even bigger.
Yeah, I can already imagine it. Rich kids getting AI tutors and fancy learning tools while everyone else gets left behind. And that gap, it could happen everywhere, right? Jobs, creative stuff, all of it.
That's the possible downside. If it all comes down to profit, richer people and companies will have better AI, which means they'll be more productive, more innovative, they'll make better decisions. It could have a huge impact, yeah.
It's like we're at a crossroads or something. On one hand, you have this amazing technology that could change how we learn, work, even create. But then there's this other side where it just becomes another thing that divides people.
That's a great way to put it. And it shows why we need to really think about how we want AI to grow within society. Is just focusing on profit the best way? Are there other approaches that could make sure more people have access? These are questions we're going to dive into deeper as we keep going.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to hear about those other approaches. Because even though there are risks, I'm not ready to give up on the idea that AI can be a force for good. Something that helps everyone, no matter who they are or how much money they have.
That's the right attitude. And the good news is there are some cool initiatives popping up that are trying to challenge how things are done and find more fair ways to develop AI. But we'll save that conversation for the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, so last time we were talking about how ChatGPT might become, harder to use because of the price going up and them focusing on those big customers. It's a little scary to think something so powerful could become a luxury.
Yeah, it is. It makes you ask, what happens to education, to work, even just how we see ourselves if only some people can afford to use the best AI.
Right. And we talked about some of the bad things that could happen, like making the gap between rich and poor even bigger. Oh, sounds kind of depressing, honestly. Are there any people trying to make things more fair?
There are some good things happening. Remember we talked about Byte and Soar. It's this project. It's decentralized AI. And they're trying to make a system where AI is more for everyone. They want to offer cheaper options and AI that's less biased than the big companies.
Okay, hold on. Break that down for me a bit. What does decentralized AI even mean? How does that work?
Okay, so imagine like ChatGPT, right? That's a normal AI system.
Yeah.
One company, OpenAI, controls everything, the data, the algorithms, all of it. Decentralized AI is different. It uses a network of computers all working together. It's like a huge team effort.
So instead of one company making all the decisions, it's more like everyone contributes.
Exactly. And because it's spread out like that, it's harder for any one person or company to control it or mess with it for their own benefit. And because it uses so many computers, it can offer things cheaper, potentially.
That sounds kind of revolutionary. But if it's cheaper and less controlled, does that mean the quality is worse? Like, can it really compete with a giant company like OpenAI?
That's a good question, and it's something that developers are working on. But one good thing about decentralized AI is that it can use knowledge and expertise from lots of different places. It's like crowdsourcing for AI.
So it's not just about saving money, it's about using the intelligence of a whole network of people.
Yeah, exactly. They want to encourage people and organizations to share their data, their algorithms, their computing power. It's about building a stronger and more flexible AI system.
This is super interesting. But are there like actual examples of this working, or is it all just, theory?
There are definitely projects out there that are doing real stuff. Like there's this thing called Ocean Protocol. It's a platform where people and organizations can share their data and even make money from it, all in this decentralized way.
So it's kind of like a marketplace for data, but it's more secure and transparent.
Exactly. And that's super important for AI because you need good data to train AI models. And since it's decentralized, it's harder for people to censor it or change it.
It sounds like this decentralized AI could really change things. But are there any downsides? Anything we should be worried about?
Of course, nothing's perfect. One big concern is how you govern it, When you have so many people contributing, it can be hard to make sure everything is high quality and that no one's doing anything bad.
So, how do you stop it from becoming a mess or being taken over by people with bad intentions?
Yeah, that's a valid worry. And researchers are trying to figure out how to govern these systems properly. One idea is to use blockchain technology, kind of like they use for cryptocurrency.
Oh, blockchain.
Yep. That technology could help make sure that everything that happens is recorded and can be checked. So it's harder for bad actors to mess with it. It also helps create rules that everyone has to follow.
So it's like setting up a system to keep everything balanced and secure.
Exactly. It's still early days, but lots of smart people are working on this. I think we're going to see some really cool solutions as the technology gets better.
It's definitely complicated, but the possibilities are huge.
Yeah.
But okay, let's bring it back down to earth a bit. If we are heading towards this, like AI divide, what can regular people do? How do we deal with this world where AI is becoming more and more a part of our lives?
That's a really good question. I think it starts with education. We got to learn how these technologies work, what they're good at, what they're bad at, how people can use them for good things and for bad things. Just blindly trusting algorithms is not the answer. We can't assume they're always on our side.
So basically, we need to be skeptical, to think critically about AI.
Totally. It's about what they call AI literacy. It means you can look at an AI system and understand it. You can see if it's biased, and you know how to advocate for ethical development.
It's like media literacy, but for AI, right? You got to be able to spot the fake stuff, the manipulation, and make good decisions about how you use these technologies.
Exactly. And just like any powerful tool, we have to be aware of how it could be misused. We've already seen AI being used for things like surveillance, discrimination, even spreading fake news.
So it's not just about knowing how to USE the tools. It's about understanding how they affect society and fighting for policies that protect our rights and values.
Exactly. We need to be actively involved in shaping the future of AI. We can't just sit back and let whatever happen. We need to stay informed, have these conversations, and make sure the people in charge are building AI that benefits everyone.
It sounds like a lot of responsibility for individuals, especially when all this tech is changing so fast.
It can feel overwhelming. But remember, we all have a voice. We can educate ourselves, have conversations like this one, demand transparency from the people making AI. That's how we can help make sure AI is used responsibly and benefits all of humanity.
It's good to remember that we get to decide what the future of AI looks like. It's a story we're all writing together, and we can make it a good one.
I completely agree. And with that, I think we're ready for the last part of our deep dive, where we'll talk about some possible paths forward and what we can all do to make sure everyone benefits from AI in the future.
Welcome back, everybody, to the last part of our deep dive, into the future of ChatGPT and how AI is going to affect us, the whole economy, the whole society thing.
Right.
So we've talked about this, like tiered access, right? Where some people might get locked out, and we talked about that decentralized AI, which sounds kind of hopeful. Feels like we're at this turning point, right? So many possibilities, but also like some serious risks.
For sure. The choices we make right now about AI, who gets to use it, how it gets developed, those are going to have a big impact down the line. It's not just about the technology, it's about how we want society to work.
And like we said, AI isn't good or bad on its own. It's a tool. It can help us with like huge problems, climate change, healthcare, but it could also make those inequalities we're talking about even worse.
It's like a double-edged sword, That's why it's so important to be having these conversations. We need to hear all the different sides, understand what could happen, the good A&D, the bad.
One thing that really hit me from our last conversation was like AI isn't neutral. It picks up the biases of the people who create it, right?
Yeah.
And the data it learns from. So if we want AI to be fair, we have to deal with that bias, right?
Exactly. And there are more and more people in the AI world who are focused on that. Like they want to make sure AI is fair, that it's transparent, that you can hold it accountable. Researchers are figuring out ways to like spot bias in algorithms and get rid of it. And even lawmakers are starting to think about the ethics of AI.
It's good to see people are starting to pay attention to that stuff. But it's also important to remember, like tech alone can't fix all these problems. We need to talk about this as a society. Like, what are our values? What's important to us? What kind of future do we actually want?
Couldn't agree more. We got to go deeper than just changing algorithms or making new laws. It's about how we see technology, how we see each other. Like, the whole relationship has to change.
So where do we go from here? Like, what can we actually do as individuals and as a society to make sure AI benefits everyone?
Well, we already talked about education. Right. That's huge. We need to teach people how to live in this world that's becoming more and more driven by AI. And that's not just about coding and stuff. It's critical thinking. It's ethics. It's being able to spot fake news, all that.
Right. We got to be able to tell what's real and what's not, understand the limits of these technologies, and basically be informed citizens in this like digital age.
And beyond individual stuff, we got to push for change in the system, like policies that make sure AI is developed ethically, more diversity in tech, so it's not just one type of person making all the decisions, making sure everyone has a chance to benefit from AI.
It's about holding the people in charge accountable.
Right.
Making sure these technologies are used to help people, not to like divide us even more.
Exactly. And this brings us back to where we started. We were talking about how access to AI, like ChatGPT, might become limited and how that could make things unfair. But we also looked at those alternatives, like that decentralized AI that could make things better.
Yeah, it shows that. Like, the future isn't set in stone, right? We have a say in it. Yeah. And yeah, there are real challenges, but there's also real hope for making things better.
Absolutely. The future of AI, it's like we're all writing it together. And if we do it right, it can be a good story.
I like that. So to wrap up our deep dive here, I want to leave everyone with this thought. What happens with AI? It's up to us. We get to decide what kind of world we build with it. So let's choose to build a world where everyone can succeed, where technology brings us together, and where AI makes the world a fairer and more just place for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everybody. We'll be back next time with another interesting topic. Until then, keep learning, keep asking those tough questions, and keep working towards the future you want to see.